私たちの始まりの目撃者になってください。
Hello fellow enthusiasts and welcome to yet another review. Today, as the title implies, I'm taking a closer look on Nina as a Nendoroid, number 2827 to be precise, and since I have a lot of talking points for this one, let's jump straight into it. First, of course, this is the box she comes in, and although we are fast approaching the 3K mark for those small collectibles, they haven't updated the style or overall dimensions in a while, so this is just your typical Nendo box. I'm not particularly fond of this color combination though. For some reason the rust red combined with the bright orange isn't really doing it for me. Those small little dots on three sides are a nice touch and might be a visual cue to some equalizer. The only mildly interesting thing on this box is the little metallic sticker here from Toei Animation, the production company behind the show. At first glance, this looks like any other seal of approval that should prove the legitimacy of the merchandise to you. But did you know that there are like a dozen different versions of this sticker available, all with different color combinations and wording, and each of them means something specific like sales region or price point. On this Nina themed tie, for example, that I got, there is a gold sticker with purple print without the number 3 and the banner is in kanji. First I was just curious what this little 3 meant on this sticker, and soon after that I went down a rabbit hole of information, and now I'm wondering if Toei is the only company that does this to this extent, or if this does go even deeper. And yeah, speaking of stickers, I've just noticed that I did not peel off the plaque from the wholesale company. That's because normally I don't have to worry about them, but for some reason this Nendoroid was region locked on AmiAmi, and so I had to buy her locally in a figure store. As soon as I unboxed the little gremlin, I immediately noted two changes within the ecosystem. The first one is subtle, but since I bought my last Nendo 500 numbers prior, Takina in her waitress uniform, I don't know if this is a recent change, but fact is, Nendo blister now feature a cutout for the faces, so neat. And the second one is more obvious because for the first time in forever they also redesigned or at least updated the infamous Swiss cheese base plate that almost every Nendo comes with. In true shrinkflation fashion, it is now thinner and has far less holes. And if you look really close, you also notice further changes to the crane as well. Here is a side-by-side comparison where I marked all the differences I was able to spot, so feel free to pause the video here. Honestly, I don't have strong feelings about this topic. I never was a huge fan of the general look of those Nendo bases, and the new one looks far too similar to the old one to sway my opinion. But the changes that were made scream cost cutting and cost cutting only. I for one would not be surprised if we see those bases disappear completely within a few years. Kinda like power supplies that aren't included anymore if you buy a new phone. Wow, almost 4 minutes in and I haven't even talked about the figure yet. But based on my attire, you can already see, yeah, this is personal. So not only will I review this based on objective viewpoints, but also as a huge fan of Toge Toge and the show itself. And like so often, the first figure a fan can buy is probably a Nendo. Only that in the case of Girls Band Cry, there was a wide array of scales that predate the release of this Nendoroid. Sadly, for me personally, those other lineups all had at least one major flaw that scared me away from committing to buy a whole set of 5 figures. I mean, even as a fan, I can still have standards at least. I don't have to buy every Girls Band Cry merch out there. Isn't that right, little Rupa in a box? What? A beer? For me? How considerate of you! So this Nendo of Nina was the first figure where I felt, okay, let's give it a shot. I mean, how bad can this be? Okay, First, the illustration with which she was announced and the actual release are quite a bit different. One could say that the Nendo is a bit more show accurate, but this pose would have benefited from a more expressive second faceplate. I mean, the three versions that we got are totally fine, distinct, and do work in a few different ways rather than just one specific pose, but all in all, it still feels a bit too safe. I mean, where are all those wacky Nina faces that got memed so hard all over the internet? Oh right, they are all from later in the show. Too bad that Good Smile drops each series just after 3 episodes, only to hide themselves in a factory in Shanghai and start to pull out all-nighters just to release figures in time when the show is still relevant. This lack of specific insight of course carries on to the parts as well. I mean, how often do you pre-order your favorite character as a Nendoroid only to have them released with surface level accessories? Nina, for example, comes with her microphone because yes, she's the lead singer of the band, so far so understandable, and as the big ticket item there is this broken ceiling lamp that was featured in episode 2. Yes, it was a hilarious scene and the lamp still played a bigger part in this one episode, but it would be a stretch to call this essential for the show or the character itself. But now you have all the parts to recreate this moment that admittedly looks great in Nendo form, but the item itself as well as those molded arms and hands can only really be used for this specific action. And for a play figure that most of the time only can cover 3 or 4 iconic moments, to waste one of those for such a minor scene feels a bit cruel. Because in my opinion, a Nendoroid always should feature the most iconic potency of a character, and even I can think of a few items from the top of my head that would have been a better fit for her, and this might contain spoilers. Weird that this is coming from a tourist like me, but her stage guitar, the G&L Tribute, her acoustic guitar that she has to learn on, her smartphone that is heavily featured throughout the show, those red anxiety wiggles, heck, even a microphone stand would have been a better fit for her than this silly little lampshade with a fluorescent light bulb in it. Well, at least the figure itself is not a letdown. I would even go so far as to say that her clothes that come in the form of a pleated skirt and a 2-layer top that features her signature shirt are more versatile for other characters than her actual accessories. This torso with the jacket looks the part, except for the white collar that should clearly be some fluffy material like wool, but based on this paint job and the sculpt, it's just a white surface. A fun detail is that on her jacket, one lace is shorter than the other. This is faithful to the artwork, but for some reason it is mirrored on the figure. And there is one more flaw that comes with the design. See those 2 stripes on her sleeve? Those look great when her arms are stretched out, but as soon as you use the angled parts and twist them in a way to recreate those scenes from the box, the stripes of course don't line up anymore. Another small gripe that is worth considering because on the box they only show angles where you can't notice this. Also, speaking about swapping arms, I never had a Nendoroid where I had to use so much force to push in those parts and twist them into position. There were even moments where I was afraid to twist off the little peg. I don't know if this is just my copy, since normally I have the exact opposite problem of figures falling apart too easily, so I was surprised how tight this one fits. Nina has okay posability and features some unique hand parts that might also come in handy for other characters. I mean, a raised pinky finger has to be good for something else. Would it have been great if they also included the a bit more provocative middle finger hand into the mix? Sure, but if you have to recreate this iconic scene, there is a way within the Nendo ecosystem to do this, like this person has clearly proven. The pose that was the most convincing to me is where she holds the microphone in front of her mouth. It gets really close to her face and due to the molded hand pair, it simply looks great, although it's a little bit tricky to set it up. So yeah, I guess this is all I wanted to talk about Nendo Nina. I don't know if Good Smile has any plans to release the other band members as well in this line, but if they would, some sort of announcement would have been imminent. At least it would have helped to boost her sales numbers as well, because then you don't want to miss the start of a run. As for me, I'm good with having just her as a one-off in my collection, because as a fan there are now plenty of alternative scale figures out there that might be more wise to collect. There are even ones that don't break the bank immediately, like this version of her that I'm sure will be featured at some point on this show. But in the next episode I really have to go and review this Toho figure next, because I've already struggled twice mounting her during live streams, and now since I've already started with her figure photo, I really can't guarantee how long she will be in an undamaged condition. But to quote Nina's shirt, let's hope for the best and prepare for the worst. In the meantime, take care out there and keep having fun collecting.